So like fancy podcasts, they have a camera here and then they have
Yeah, all different
here.
angles. We don't have that here. What's up with that?
No, I'm not going to spend my time doing that. So,
Okay.
Okay. So hi, Jessica. Hi, or Miss Bailey.
No, you can call me Jessica.
I usually do call you Jessica.
Yes.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Congratulations on getting Teacher of the Year.
Thank you.
How did that feel? You got Teacher of the Year for the district?
No.
For the school?
Just for Burnout.
That's still a big deal.
Yeah, to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really not a big deal in the grand scheme of things, but to me it meant a lot because the other staff members are the ones who
they vote on
it. Yes.
Oh, that's nice.
And then staff members write things about you, like why they selected you to. So
do you get to read them?
Yes, you get to see.
Did you cry?
A handful. Of course I cried. I cried everything. But yeah, it meant a lot to me because teaching is my heart and I love it. I show up every day excited. Even when I'm not feeling good, I'm excited to be at work and I'm excited to make a difference in kids' lives. And so for that just to be recognized was huge to me.
Well, that's actually why I asked you to be here, because as a mom, and we have a lot of teacher customers, there's a lot of teacher sweet lifers. And then I have tons of friends who are teachers. I think it's probably one of the largest professions for women, especially women with children. A lot of what I experience is complaining. And I get it. Yes. It's hard. It's hard for me to manage my own 3 children, much less 20 children if I was in elementary. And you have 20 children times 7 periods or 6 periods or whatever it is. It's a lot of people and humans to manage. So I do get it, but I don't get that from you. When you come into the store to shop and when we get to visit, you have this positivity. You radiate a positivity, and you really can feel that you love it's not a job, it's a career.
It is, absolutely.
And you love the kids, and I can know that with 100% confidence. And so that's why I asked for you to come sit on our podcast.
Well, thank you very much.
And so you get to represent the teachers and encourage and be a source of positivity for this new school year.
Okay, I love it. I mean, I really do. You're right. To me, it's not a job. It's my life. It's my everything. Outside of my own personal 4 kids, teaching is my everything. Like I pour every little bit I have into my job at school, and I can't imagine myself doing anything else. I recently finished my master's degree, and a lot of people thought, I was going to get out of the classroom because it's more of like a reading specialization. So I would be able to like teach teachers instead of just teaching kids, but I have such a heart for students that I'm not ready to do that just yet. So
okay. So let's talk about how long you've been teaching.
Okay. This is my 19th year. So, but I'm a little bit older than having only 19 years experience.
You are not old. You look fantastic.
Old. Well, thank you. I taught for 7 years in public school. And then I had my 3rd kiddo, and it, obviously daycare was pretty much the same amount I was getting paid for 3 kids in daycare. And so I started staying home, which was only supposed to be like a 2-year gig. And then it turned into staying home for 7 years until my youngest was.
And then you had another kid.
Yes. So yes. So I had my 4th one and stayed home with him until he was preschool age. And then I had the opportunity to teach at a private school. And so I taught at private school for 7 years. And then I left private school to come to public school because not for any fault of the school. I loved my job at the private school, but I couldn't do the 45-minute commute when all my kids were here in Georgetown and, involved in activities.
Sure.
And so then I've been at Burnout for, this will be my 5th year there.
5th year.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. So have you always taught middle school?
No. When I first started teaching, I taught 5th grade.
Okay.
And then when I went to the private school, I taught all different. I taught 3rd grade, 4th grade. I taught 6th, 7th, and 8th grade math.
In private school.
So
they just like threw all the things at you.
Yes. And when I interviewed, I thought I was interviewing for a language arts position because that's what I had taught in 5th grade. And they were like, no, it's for math. And I was like, I can teach math. And I actually
accepted the challenge.
Yes. And I actually loved teaching math. And I brought a different perspective than because I wasn't going to just sit there and do like workbook pages like they were used to doing. So I really made math fun and engaging, and I loved it because it was way easier than language arts to teach because there's just one right answer. You don't have to, it's not writing where you have to really
critical thinking.
Yes. So it was different. But I loved it, and that gave me lots of different experience. And then when I came to Benold in Georgetown, I taught 2 sections of 8th grade language arts, but then I was an inclusion teacher, or an interventionist. So I pushed into classrooms and helped to support that teacher. So I worked with all the different grade levels. So I had my 2 classes of 8th grade language arts, and then I was a support person for the other grade levels. And then
tell me what that means. Because I think, so this is my mom's perspective. When I get around my teacher friends, they have their own language and y'all's own acronyms.
And half the time I still have to look up the acronyms because there's so many I can't remember all of them.
And so sometimes when y'all talk, I'm like, okay, I don't know what you're talking about. And this is one of them, an inclusion interventionist.
So I was technically an interventionist. So that just means you're providing assistance to students in classrooms who might be struggling, but they're not necessarily diagnosed as having a learning disability, or they might not have a 504 plan, which is just like a support plan for kids who have ADHD or something like that. And they may not yet have been tested for dyslexia, things like that, but we can still provide support. So at that time, they had an interventionist position where I could push in and help those kids without having the label of SPED or 504.
So you would go into the classrooms and give them one-on-one help?
Not necessarily one-on-one. Sometimes it was one-on-one, but sometimes it was small group. Or sometimes I would be with the class, and that would give the teacher the opportunity to work with the small group, or
that knew the kids maybe were struggling in something else.
Which is the same as an inclusion teacher is now. An inclusion teacher is just a special ed teacher or a special ed aide, and they come in and support that teacher. But technically, that person can play either role. They can teach the class while the teacher pulls a small group, or vice versa. Or you can have 2 small groups while the rest of the class is working.
So that leads me to my next question. And as somebody who's taught for as many years as you have, what would you say is the biggest change that you've noticed in your career in 19 years?
Because my heart is really for language arts. Like, I am a reader. I love seeing that spark. Part of me feels like it's sad, but sometimes you see that spark in middle school where kids have never learned to love to read until they come to my classroom, which is heartbreaking because they've missed out on all those years where they could have loved books. But I would say that's the biggest change. Like in teaching 6th grade last year, I have several kids who come who don't have any labels. Like, they're not special ed students, they're not 504 students, they're not dyslexic, and they're reading on a 2nd or 3rd grade reading level, which is one of a couple things. Like, some kids have fallen through the cracks and should have been caught because there's something wrong. Like, I feel like when they get to middle school and we're testing them for something where you can tell they've struggled all along, when you look back at their records, like, that is heartbreaking to me because they missed out on all those years. And then other times it's just because they don't have the support at home. A lot of teachers blame COVID, which I definitely think COVID played its part, and we're still seeing that as an effect in the classroom. But I think that's the biggest change. When I taught 5th grade at the beginning of my career, most kids came with a 4th or 5th grade reading level.
Did you still teach in the same district?
In Georgetown? No, I taught in Leander to begin with, but it's same population.
Same demographics.
Yes, agreed. Yes, it really was the same demographic. So I think that's the...
So you feel like overall kids are reading less in general, like maybe for their own leisure?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And really, even when they're reading in my classroom, it's not for leisure. It's because I'm making them read. Like, it's a requirement. You don't have a choice. Like, we read independent reading every single day. Like, that's just part of it. And they have to read at home. And I know every kid is not reading at home, but the fact that that's an expectation in my classroom does make a difference. And, even if it changes a couple of kids, it's worth it.
My youngest son is dyslexic.
Okay.
And it's interesting how much delays in reading affect
Everything.
I mean, and he loves math, but man, the moment those word problems or the moment he has to pull the information out of the word stories to determine, the equation and all that, it's hard. He's doing really well.
Yes.
He had a really good dyslexia program that he came from. But I feel like had I not had those teachers in kindergarten and first telling me something, I think he might be dyslexic, so that I could get that early intervention. I don't know that we would be where we are.
You wouldn't.
Yeah.
Right now I'm doing some extra training, like through the state, they offer dyslexia training. So I'm doing some of those programs. And one of the things it says is early intervention makes the biggest difference. And it shows like modules where you're looking at a kid who was diagnosed in kindergarten or first grade, as opposed to a kid who was diagnosed in middle school, and the progress that they're able to make. And it's light years different.
Well, he graduated his program in 4th grade.
Good.
So he's going to have complete, I don't know what it's called, but he won't be pulled out for reading when they go into reading in class. He's going to stay with his peers in 5th grade.
And just have like accommodations to help him if he needs it. Perfect.
Yes. And
that's awesome.
So I'm really proud of him.
You should
be. What was interesting, you said that about kindergarten, is that his kindergarten teacher, she's still in Georgetown. She told me that I needed to have him tested. She was encouraging me to have him tested. But when he was tested, because he couldn't read and because he was dyslexic, his results came back inconclusive.
Okay.
And so that's an interesting quandary, right? Because like, how do you determine if somebody, like he literally only knew the letters of half the alphabet in kindergarten.
So they didn't have enough to make it.
Okay. And so he had to be retested, and not through the district, in 1st grade. When he was a little bit more mature, and I ended up having to have that done third party because the district wouldn't pay for it again. And I get that the services, like you can't just utilize services all the time, but it was interesting because she knew, but he couldn't read.
Right.
And so how do you, it's such a tough place to be in. But as a mother, and another reason that I wanted to invite you on the podcast is that I feel like teachers like you are so important in my life as I'm going to tear up as I'm raising my children.
Then okay.
I know. It's like we have too many kids and hormones.
Yes.
But it's so important because I'm giving you my child.
Absolutely.
And
we have a huge responsibility for those kids in our rooms. Absolutely.
And so like, I love teachers like you because we can have that dialogue.
Yes.
And I can tell that you care, and maybe it's not off the chart test results at the end of the year, but I can tell.
Absolutely.
Like Sydney, my daughter's 4th grade teacher, she made so much progress. And I remember at the beginning of the school year, I told her, I don't know, she's kind of a wallflower. She kind of sits in the back of the room and pays attention to what everybody's doing, but she's not going to put herself out there. And that teacher said, really? She like made it her mission, and she really helped Sydney become such a leader in that school year. And she made so much progress and that's not to say any other grade teacher wasn't doing their job. I'm not suggesting that.
Right.
But I could just tell that teacher really made it her project.
Yes.
And at the end of the year, I was like, wow. I mean, she has really come out of her shell. And I just appreciated that partnership that we had.
Yes, it is a partnership. Absolutely.
And okay, so you also have taken the hard responsibility of teaching middle school.
Yes.
Because not as many teachers want to teach middle school.
That's
a lot of people
population.
do high school, and then a lot of men and women do high school, and then younger women, or I guess older women too, will do elementary school. But it's easier to do elementary school when your kids are little and you get summers off. But you have the messy middle.
It is the messy middle. I like that. I'm going to call it that. Yes.
So why did you choose that?
Like they're messy, but they're so wonderful. And you just get to see so much growth. Like when they come to us in 6th grade, I mean, they are still little baby 5th graders. Like you can see they're scared and they're nervous and they're, out of control, and you see so much growth in that grade. But, for several years I taught 8th grade, and you see them preparing to be high school. So I think you get to see so much growth. It makes the job so rewarding. So it doesn't matter if you're in 6th, 7th, or 8th, you get to see that change, and it's wonderful.
See, if I were going to answer the question for you, and it's not that I know you that well, but I feel like I know you pretty well. I think you would, because you're the type of person that makes change happen. You know that age range between 11 and 13 is when that pivotal things in life happen, and God has put you in that for you to make those differences.
It's funny that you said that, because I was actually thinking of moving to the high school. Well, I had already put my name out there to move to the high school for this school year. And when I talked to another teacher about the position I was going to take, she was like, you're a teacher who wants to make the difference to the biggest population of kids, and you're not going to do it there. And so I was like, okay, I need to stay where I'm at. So I do think you're right. Like that.
It's just where you fit.
Yes.
Because you need to be that person in their life where you can make those pivots for them. You
Yes.
can help them make those pivots.
Yes. Well, and I would say, like, in middle school, they still, especially in sixth grade, they still love their teacher enough where you can make a difference to them, and they still want to listen to you, even if they act like they're too cool to listen. And so you really can make a difference without having to do all the baby things that you might have to do in elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they really, you were talking to me before about them having to do the communication and, like, sending emails to their teacher, or, talking about absences with their teacher, with the parent kind of steps back. And so you even get to see growth in that area.
Yeah.
So it's just growing all around.
You're just raising all the children.
Yes, all the kids. I'm doing all the things.
I took a communication seminar several years ago, and one of the things they talked about is that as you're raising your own children, that they stop listening to you about the age of 15.
Yes.
And they start doing what you do between 15 and 16.
Okay.
And so, like, that's where you make shifts, and you want to be a better person, because if the person you don't like is right here and they're 14, then you better get yourself cleaned up by the time they're 15, 16.
Yes.
And because it just happens naturally.
Yep.
It's just, that's the nurture, right?
Yeah.
The nurture nature dynamic. And that's another reason I feel like you're the type of person, because you can really help set them up before they are finished imprinting.
Yes. Yes.
And so as a mother, I appreciate people like you, because you're helping me in that imprinting process.
And I think most middle school teachers all have this goal that we're preparing them for high school.
Mm-hmm.
So we're really trying to do all the things. So not just the academic thing, but raise them to be independent enough so that they're going to be successful in high school and can do all the things. So,
and then you have to deal with all their hormones.
Yes.
And all of the
yes.
discovery of the
Yes.
opposite sex.
Yes,
and
all of that. We're pretty boy crazy by the end of sixth grade. Yes, but it's good. And I make it pretty clear that that's awesome to do outside the classroom, but we're here to learn, and that doesn't involve. Yes. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So,
okay, so my questions are upside down. Okay, so sixth grade is probably, maybe next to ninth grade, the biggest transition year in a kid's life.
Yes.
So what do you see are, like, the key things that you focus on to, like, help them have success in that sixth grade year?
So many things. There's such a learning curve from fifth grade to sixth grade, because they're going from, probably just having two teachers to having, 7 or 8 teachers for the day. And, carrying all of their stuff all day long. So
they don't have lockers anymore.
They don't have
which
lockers.
Is crazy.
Yes.
Because those books are heavy and they're so
backpacks
little.
Backpacks are heavy. Yes. And so many kids think they have to just carry everything with them. So a lot of what I try to help them with is organizational stuff. At Burnout, we have a time with just, like, our advisory students.
Eagle time or something like that.
Yes. And so that's a great opportunity.
Oh, it's not called Eagle time anymore.
No, it's I couldn't think of what it was. Bear.
Oh, that's funny.
But it's not called bear time. I'm blanking on what it's called. Anyway.
What is it called? I don't remember. It's not advisory, but it is advisory.
It is advisory, yes.
Homeroom, that's what they call it in the old times.
Yes.
Or study hall.
Yes. And just giving them the opportunity, because most of them can't, like, their brains can't handle that, like, oh, well, you told them something in first period and then they were told something in second period. By the time they get to fifth period, they don't know what the heck they were supposed to do for those classes. So organizational skills. I mentioned communication. That's a huge thing. And my partner and I were just planning this morning, and one of the lessons we're doing the second week of school is how to write an email to your teacher, because I get lots of emails where the entire email is written in the subject line and it's all in lowercase letters, and it's like they're writing a text.
That's so cute.
So it's hilarious. So
do you just laugh?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it happens every year.
And then we usually say back to them, I'll be happy to respond to this when you write a properly formatted email. Okay. So we're just gonna hit that from the start, though, and do it first week of school, so
That's
that we
cute.
don't have to worry about it. But I think that's the biggest thing. Just the school day is overwhelming to them. It's almost like when a kid goes to kindergarten and you can see like they're so tired by the end of the day because it's a lot.
Their brain and making
so
sure
much transition.
Yeah.
Yes. It's a lot for us, and we are only teaching 5 classes plus, our focus time. So
There's
it's a lot for the kids.
of structure in the school day. So when I go up to the school to volunteer, or occasionally I'll do trunk shows with the store up at the schools, it is amazing to me. Like, I'm the kind of person that when I'm working on something, 2 hours may just completely go away. It just happens. But when you're at the school, because of the bell, because of the cadence of the feet and all the things that are happening in the hallway, it literally happens in 45-minute increments. Everything is different in 45-minute increments. And it's like, oh, and as an adult it seems to go so quickly. But as a child, I think about that, like, your day is mapped out every single 45 minutes, and how many minutes do they get between classes? Only
3 minutes.
And it's like 45 minutes, 3 minutes, 45 minutes, 3 minutes.
And they're having to switch gears between, like, they might have just came from band class where it's totally different atmosphere. And then they're coming to language arts class where the expectations are totally different. So yes, even that is a lot.
And then the personalities of the teachers and their expectations. And you have some that are stricter than others, and you have to learn all. I mean, they do it beautifully. It just takes a little while. And, I don't remember why we're talking about this. Just transitioning into 6th grade. And like becoming a young adult, like the path of becoming a young adult.
And I think organization is something that we all focus on as a 6th grade team. I would say the other struggle with, especially in 6th grade, is parents still wanting, some parents, not all parents, still wanting to like walk their kid to class or, email about every little thing, where we're trying to transition to
more independence.
But I will say most parents, at least at our school, are pretty receptive to us saying like, hey, like we promise we're going to communicate with you. Yes, we really got it. And I mean, I know it's not the same at every campus, but our 6th grade team is really, really good. And, they really take everybody in and love on them.
It is different as a parent. So like I get so many emails. I know teachers get a lot more than I do, but I have 3 kids. And so then like their elementary school teachers once a week send out a newsletter, and it's structured, and this is our curriculum, and this is what we're working on. And then in junior high or middle school, I grew up where they called it junior high. Some teachers send them, some teachers don't. Some teachers send them, but it's sporadic. Like sometimes it's on a Friday, sometimes it's on a Wednesday. And so I have to look at my young teenager and say, what are you doing? When are your tests? Like when? And at first, I remember very vividly when he was in 6th grade, because he was taking an advanced math class. I was like, you don't just get to school and realize there was a test that day. You have to study. You're taking an advanced. He was taking pre-algebra or whatever, and he was just like, okay, But I didn't know how to get that information out of it. Because it wasn't coming regularly from the teacher. It's not on some calendar somewhere. And it's not my job. It's his job.
Absolutely.
So you have to teach them, because they're not always going to have me. But it was a struggle.
It is.
And as an adult, it is much easier just to blame the other adult in the situation, right?
Absolutely.
It is to be like, my kid didn't know where the test is, when the test is. And then the teacher's like, really? Because it's been on the board for 3 weeks. And then you look at your kid and they're like, I don't know.
No, that happens all the time. Absolutely.
But I have learned that no, it's not the teacher. It is my son or my daughter, or I've got 3. I'm like you. I have both boys and girls, and to train them to get used to jotting those things down, and when it is on the board, pay attention.
And one thing that we always say in middle school, it's like a running thing with all of us, and especially in parent conferences, is we tell kids and parents that it's a safe space to fail. They are supposed to be growing. They're supposed to be trying things. They're supposed to be navigating things. And none of these grades are going to, well, unless they take a high school class in middle school, which they can in 7th and 8th grade, but none of those things follow them. Like, so it's okay. It's okay to, fail a test. And they realize when they get to high school that that's not the same situation. So this is it's growing all the way around.
Yeah, that's cool. So what are some of your biggest challenges? Let's break it into two things. So, because I think a lot of people don't, or not a lot of people, but some people don't realize your job is not just in the classroom. You have a lot of work outside of the classroom, planning. You have a team. You're responsible to other people. So, what are your biggest challenges as a teacher in the classroom, and then as a employer of a school district, employee of a school district?
That's easy. Actually, I was thinking that's a really hard question. My biggest challenge as a teacher is trying to have every student engaged or interested or caring. Like, I keep talking about my heart, but it hurts my heart when kids are checked out in 6th grade.
Because they have so much more to go.
Yeah. And like, I had a student like that last year, and that was our honest conversation. I said, if this is how 6th grade is, what are the next 6 years going to look like for you? Like, that's not what I want for you. And so those kiddos always have a special place in my heart, because, you know, something either at home or in school has happened to make them feel like they don't even want to try at school, you know, no matter what a teacher tries. And so that is my biggest challenge, because you have
a few of those kinds of students every year.
Oh, yes. And it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter what population you teach, because I had the same thing in private school. So it's not like a financial thing. It's not, a where are you coming from thing necessarily. You always have a couple of those. And so that's very challenging. But that's one of the things that we all work on as a team to try to solve, because lots of times there's one teacher who speaks that kid's language and can try to, make a difference. And we create incentives and different plans for those kids. But when you can't break through, that is really challenging. And I think my biggest challenge as a school district employee, there are so many.
I can only imagine being a school teacher in the state of Texas.
Yes. I think having your voice heard is sometimes really difficult, whether that be at a campus or a district level. I feel like I have a pretty good perspective because of my background. Like, I've taught lots of different grade levels, different subjects, public and private, plus my own 4 kids went here. And so I feel like I have a pretty good idea of what everything looks like and where the kids need to be when they graduate. You know, my oldest just graduated from college, so I've seen the whole picture.
And she got a really good job.
And she did. Yes, she's living in Washington, D.C., paying all her bills and everything all on her own. So yes, I did it. Yes. So I just think having your voice heard can sometimes be difficult. But I do feel like our superintendent here is willing to listen, and there seems to be a lot of change in our district. And so that gives me hope. Another thing that's really challenging is, and we were talking about this before, not every teacher has the same perspective. And I'm not saying, like I love to read, and not everybody there has to be like that. But also, teachers don't all have the same heart for teaching. And so it's really challenging to show up every day when I don't care if I feel amazing or if I got enough sleep or whatever. Like, I'm happy to be there. I'm happy to see the kids. Like, there's nothing that makes my heart happier than, I stand in the hallway in between each class, seeing the next group like walk up and just seeing their faces and checking in with them. Like, that makes my heart so happy. And seeing that other teachers aren't willing to do that, or that's not part of why they show up for work every day. And so that is really hard and can make you sometimes angry and bitter, because there are teachers who are really good teachers and they see, Joe next door who isn't doing anything, and we're both collecting the same paycheck, and that tends to rub off on people.
You would like it to be more of a Chick-fil-A environment where everybody is at work at Chick-fil-A
I never
is
thought
happy
about that.
and ready and being there.
Yes.
So there was a podcast I listened to.
And everyone should say my pleasure. Everyone.
Everyone should say my pleasure.
That is what I want it to be like.
Because, so I was listening to this podcast. I feel like it was Dave Ramsey of all people. And it wasn't a financial, I was like their people officer or something. The Chick-fil-A people officer and they were talking about the importance of employees and having the right employees in the right places, and like how Chick-fil-A does such a good job of that. And she said it starts with that at the Chick-fil-A franchise system, the owner of the store has to work in the store. It can't be like at Pizza Hut where they can own and they can live in Kansas.
Okay.
And, they're not really that hands-on. In Chick-fil-A, they have to be hands-on, and they tend to be then more obviously involved, and then more positive, and they radiate that positivity, and they collect a team that is more positive as a result. And it's interesting, and they've created this culture of everybody likes to be there. And I was thinking about it after watching the podcast. We were at Chick-fil-A just like 3 days ago, and we're in a drive-through line, and they're outside in a vest in 100-degree weather. And yes, there's a fan on them, but still, like they have on uniform clothes, like they're not in shorts and a tank top, and they're like, yes, would you like 2 chicken sandwiches? And they
still smiling,
so happy. And I'm like, yes, please, 2 chicken sandwiches. I mean, it's ridiculous, but it is such a nice experience.
And you're smiling when you walk away.
So what I hear you say is you would prefer a team, not fake, like that genuinely wants to be there. And genuinely radiates the same type of positivity you do.
Yes, because people like you are sending their babies to school to be with us, probably for more time than they spend with you when you figure in extracurricular activities and everything else. Yes, we have a job to do, and it should be with heart every single day. Because we make a difference, or we can make a difference. And that's how you do it, is having a good attitude and loving your job. And
maybe the state legislator needs to, who's in charge of the education system? Is it Patrick? I can't remember which guy it is. It's some dude up there. And some man. And he needs to call in that people officer lady.
From Chick-fil-A.
Some focus group.
Get some advice.
Maybe getting out of the academic setting and getting some ideas that are fresh would be helpful.
The way to change the academics in our state is through the hearts of the kids. And so if we can set up Chick-fil-A and be all happy and
not actually give chicken.
No. Just have that attitude.
You have Chick-fil-A in the cafeteria. We're not going down that road.
Have that attitude every single day. Then kids are more willing to learn.
And Southwest is another really good example of that. The flight, Southwest Airlines. They are fun. And this lady, I took a flight 2 or 3 weeks ago. We went to San Diego, and the lady was like, I know you don't want to listen to these messages. I know you think you know everything, but listen, I need you to pay attention, and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it in song.
Like, did she sing it all? Oh, that's awesome.
She did like the seatbelt. I mean, it was hilarious.
That's great.
And you can't help but, one, pay attention. And 2, just be jovial in the experience. It was fun. And Southwest does a really good job for the most part. Because I've heard flight attendants get some really crummy interactions as well. Teachers, flight attendants, and referees.
Those
true. Are like some of the hardest jobs in terms of customer service.
Agreed.
Okay, well, we'll give that feedback to the superintendent.
Work on that.
He needs to talk to whoever that dude is at the state legislature to get with Chick-fil-A. Okay, so this is another hard question, but what, as an educator, what is 1 or 2 things you wish every parent knew about being in education?
Like as a teacher? When I have lunch with teachers in our, and we're just chatting, we wish that every parent could come spend at least 1 day in our classroom to see what it's like. It is much easier to criticize teachers when you're not seeing what they're doing. We, for the most part, teachers work really, really hard every single day. And most teachers care about what they're teaching, and most teachers care about forming relationships with kids. And so I think that's probably.
Do you think there's an opportunity? So like that opportunity happens a lot more in elementary school. As a parent, like I've had teachers have a sign-up sheet for come read to the class on Fridays for 20 minutes. And so then you do get to experience Maybe it's only an hour.
What it's like.
But you still get to experience what it's like to hang out with 6-year-olds for 20 minutes, like that many. So, but those types of opportunities outside of like volunteering for PTA aren't really there, and they're certainly not in the classroom.
Right.
So why is that not a little bit more open for middle school and high school? Do you know?
I don't know. A couple years ago when I was in 8th grade, we do First Chapter Friday, where we read the first chapter of a book to get kids interested in that. And we did guest readers. And well, there's the reason right there, is because very few parents signed up. I think I had one, maybe 2 8th grade parents. Outside of that, it was all other teachers giving up their planning time to come and read to the class.
So maybe there's an opportunity there, because as a parent, sometimes the teachers communicate to me through I guess they send emails like through some system, and it comes in my email box differently than if they send it like through Outlook. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I think there's like some way to send it through Skyward or something.
Yes, through Skyward.
And then, so it goes different. It's almost like it goes to junk if it goes through Skyward. And then if it goes through Outlook or whatever, I get like a real email that I would get from my mortgage guy or something.
Yes.
You know?
The problem is that
I don't notice them as often.
Yes. I didn't know that. I've never heard that before.
Yeah. Google, my Gmail account they just
go to
junk.
In
a different file.
Okay, that's good to know.
I have to go and figure out, that's my kid's teacher, and
pull it out of junk. Okay. Well, good to know.
But in elementary school, when that's happened in the past, you also then get a message from like the room mom. And then I realized, I haven't got any messages from the teacher. And so then I go find them. But in junior or middle school, my kids have so many teachers, it's hard to keep track of it all.
Absolutely.
So if they go to junk, it takes me sometimes 6 weeks to figure it out.
Yes.
Unless they do it through the other way. And anyway, just FYI.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know you didn't know that. But yeah.
The problem is when we go to send an email, we would have to look up the parent's email address. In
Skyward it's more easier.
It's easier because you just send the email right from there. And then it sends a copy to you in Gmail.
And then it's probably private email addresses.
It is.
Yeah.
But
interesting.
But that's something good to know, because I've never heard that.
Because the other thing that's different about the elementary versus the older kid setting is that like the teachers, when they have a need, they can tell the room mom, and then the room mom can put it on Facebook. Or she tells the PTA president, and the president puts it on Facebook. And Benold, I know, has a very active PTA.
Yes, absolutely.
So that could happen. But how often could there be like a grade-wide parental thing that you have a PTA help you?
There is a grade level representative for each grade level.
And could they push out that messaging? So that's not a bad
idea. No, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, because it seems like, because I agree with you. When I go to the schools, it really does change your perspective. Like one time when Nolan was in 1st or 2nd grade, for some reason that particular year, they had a rule that the teacher had to eat lunch with the kids.
Okay.
And she took lunch at a different time. So she did get to have lunch.
Yes.
But she was like the room moderator at lunch.
Yes.
And for whatever reason, this particular day, I was up there and I was having lunch with them. And the kids were like, Miss. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, she doesn't even get a mental break for the 20 minutes of lunch.
Yes.
I mean, because they were just like randomly coming up with these things to talk about, and she's like circling the table, but they're stopping her every 5 seconds. And I was exhausted just by the amount. I mean, it's like hearing mom times 30.
Yes.
You know, and I'm like, oh my, because it's so hard to hear mom as often as we hear it. And I asked her, I was like, you do get lunch, right? Like, I could not imagine, and just the small amount of time I was in her shoes, I was just like, wow.
Yes.
You know, and so I agree with you. If you walk into a middle school, and a high school, and have those same types of experiences, even for a brief moment, outside of pep rallies, outside of athletic things, outside of band things, like
all of that,
in math, in English, I think you're right. I think parents would feel, maybe they would be more involved too.
I think so.
Okay, so that would be number 1. What would be number 2?
Tell me the question again.
What's something you wish every parent understood about being a teacher?
I think this job is just different than every other job. You know, when I look at how hard I work in comparison with people who just have regular jobs, 9-to-5 jobs, and make 3 and 4 times more. But teachers are working 6 and 8 times harder for a lot less. And it's so different. It's a different perspective. And even like my husband would never understand why I couldn't like, oh, just go to a doctor's appointment, or why can't you just go grab groceries on your lunch break? Like I have 30 minutes and I have to be back in the classroom. Like it's not the same as every other job. And so I think it's,
well, then where would you put those groceries?
Well, that's true. That's true. It just is different. And you really have no, you were talking about all of them saying, miss. Yes, it's like that all day long from the second you walk in, because we have tutorial time before school till tutorial time after school. Like you're on that whole time without really taking a break. And yes, you have planning period, but you're planning then. And so even then you're working. So it is different than most other jobs.
And it's condensed because of all the time off you get. Would you agree?
Yes.
Yes. So I think that people say, well, but you make less, but you don't work a 52-week or 50-week
Correct.
work schedule. And then when you talk to a teacher, they're like, well, yes, but. And I think that but is really important, though.
Well, so that's another thing that I would say that most people don't know. You wouldn't believe all of the training that teachers do over the summer.
Mm-hmm.
We're required to do, I think it's 24 or 30 hours. I don't even know, because most teachers go above and beyond that every summer. Plus, most teachers come with plans already done because they need to, like, they say they're going to give us time in our classroom when we get back, and we end up not really having time. So you have to come with something done or you won't have time to plan. So in theory, you really don't even have your whole summer. If you're, I was going to say if you're a good teacher, but that's not right, because some people probably have it figured out, but I haven't figured it out enough to be able to have, a 3-month summer.
Yeah. So what is your teacher contract? How many weeks? Or you do days? Y'all do days?
Yeah, I think it's 185 days. Sounds right.
Okay. And there's 365.
Yes.
And then minus the weekends.
Yep.
So I think it nets out to, isn't it? It's 12 weeks. I think it nets out of 12 weeks of not working. So that's what you're getting paid.
Correct.
For 40 weeks.
Yes.
40 weeks. So your salary is in 40 weeks. And you, of course, stretch it out for 52 weeks.
Correct.
And I think there's misconception, because then what you're saying is you're really not off for 12 weeks. You're really off what? If you count Christmas, you count spring break, you count Thanksgiving. Like how much, if you're supposed to be off contractually 12 weeks, what would you say you're actually off?
9.
Okay. Spread out throughout the year.
9 or 10.
Okay. And then that still is less, like even the more tenured employee might get 6 weeks of vacation, but they get paid more.
Correct.
Than a teacher.
Yes.
So you know that going in.
Yes. So
it's a lot.
Yeah.
So it's a lot to take on as a teacher.
It's a lot
because yes, you get this time off, but the time that you're allowed, that's not allowed, but the time you're working, it's all condensed. And
yes.
It's very high energy. And
which is why you need a summer to like refocus.
Yeah.
And re-energize yourself. I can't imagine doing year-round school and not having a time to just kind of like breathe. Most teachers take the first few weeks and just do nothing related to school and then slowly work their way into it so that they can prepare for the next year.
Yeah. Because because your tutorial period, what is it? It's
8:15.
8:15, and then the school bell rings at 4:20.
8:50. Oh, the end of the day, 4:20.
4:20, but then you're leaving the building at what time?
4:40 is when it ends. Our contract time.
But then what time do you actually leave the building? Do you leave at 4:40?
Well, I do because I make myself. Yes, I have no choice.
Yeah.
I didn't used to. I probably used to stay till 5 or 6, and that was when I ended at 3 o'clock. Yes.
Yeah. And I think a lot of teachers do. They'll stay until 5.
I can leave at 4:40 because I get there at 7 o'clock, and school technically doesn't start until 9 o'clock in the morning. So yes, so I'm putting my time in the morning because I'm a morning person instead. But yes.
I get that. So, because I think that's another misconception is people think, oh, the teachers get off at 3:30.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's like, no,
it's not like that.
It's not like that.
Plus, you're working with humans. Like, it's not.
And they're talkative
and
they have questions.
Yes. And also, so you, even if you're not taking work home, like I take all those students home with me every single day. Like I'm constantly thinking like, oh, I did not make a difference in that kid's life. How am I going to fix it tomorrow? Oh my gosh, I shouldn't have said it this way. I should have said it that way. You're constantly like rethinking how you did things or how to make it better the next day. Even just like, oh, this is my plan for tomorrow. So at dinner time that night, I might be thinking of, ooh, how am I gonna make that more engaging? How am I gonna tweak it? Even though I've had my lesson plans done for a long time, I'm constantly, rethinking those things.
Yeah, and as you should. Like I feel like I do that in business too. So when I have a week of good sales, I'm like, okay, what did you do? Was this blouse?
Yes,
was that beautiful?
Yes.
Like what did I do differently that made this blouse sell out?
Yes,
that this one didn't. It's so interesting.
Yeah,
but I feel like you have to approach any business, any career that way, because that's what makes you better at what it is. You're perfecting your craft.
Yes.
Okay. So we have two other things. I forgot to mention the cell phone. So most states have instituted a cell phone ban. We're going to call it a ban.
Okay.
Even though I know that's not what they called it at the legislature or whatever. But what are your thoughts? One as a teacher and one as a mother.
Love and love. Last year at Benold, we told kids they had to keep it in their backpack and have it turned off until lunchtime. And then they were allowed to check their text messages, which they won't be allowed to do this year. Other than that, it was supposed to stay in their backpack. I love that because it's such a distraction. The second you don't have that rule, kids, they're very sneaky and they will do everything, including having a book and looking like they're reading, but their cell phone's in there. So I love that. I know a lot of people are critical of the ban because of being able to contact parents, but I have a phone in my classroom. I am happy to let a kid use it even during class. Like kids have made phone calls. I've let them use my cell phone. I don't know what the rule is going to be, but before I've allowed kids like, hey, you need to call, just take out your cell phone and call your parent real quick. So I love it. I think it's great. Because, I talked earlier about reading levels. I think technology is one of the things that's contributed to that. And kids are watching, TikTok and doing Snap and all these things that take 2 seconds of their time, and they don't have the mental capacity to just sit and read for 10 minutes. And so I think anything we can do to take a step back from technology while they're at school and enable them to learn and just be in an academic setting without that distraction, I think is a good thing.
I agree. Have you read The Anxious Generation?
No, I have it on my shelf.
You read it.
Okay.
It's so good. It's a fast read.
Okay.
In fact, I think like the last chapter is like a summary of all the chapters.
Oh. Okay.
So it doesn't take long.
Okay.
But the data is so compelling.
Okay.
And it's like, oh my gosh. And it's literally telling a story of our brains are being rewired because of the technology. And it's happening at the adult level too.
I believe it.
And and I know in my business, video has taken over so much of what we engage in, and it changes business, it changes everything. Sometimes it's for good, but sometimes it is like just little things like product returns. If someone would actually read the description, it says this is not sized correctly. Buy
one size up or down. Yeah.
It would really save quite a bit of frustration. Now, that's not to say, my descriptions are perfect, but I see. So funny. Something I have done in the business is add a video to all the pictures.
Yes.
The last is a video that's like 30 to a minute. I'm way too talkative. It's usually a minute. And it explains those things in the product description because people aren't going to read it.
They need to hear it. Yep.
Yes.
And see it.
Yes, it's so interesting.
Yep.
But I'm constantly teaching my kids, you have to read. You have to read. And the Anxious Generation, I mean, it isn't just an opinion.
Yes.
He has data
Fact.
to support. And it is fascinating.
Hmm.
Yeah, you should definitely read it.
I will.
And as a result, little things. I do make my kids put their phones in the laundry room at night.
Yep.
They're not going to sleep with them. They don't wake up with them anymore. They have their own real alarm
clocks.
clocks.
Yay!
I know.
I love that.
Like going back to the
old
old-fashioned.
school.
It has been such an interesting experience because honestly, they haven't fought me about it at all.
Oh.
And then to train your body to wake up with an alarm clock has been such an interesting lesson to teach them.
Yes.
Because it's just different.
Yes.
Anyway, because you don't have 15 alarms like you can set on your phone. Maybe you get 2.
Yeah.
You know? So you have to train your body to pay attention and get up.
Yep.
And anyway, you would like it. It would be good.
I will read that.
Just from a parent standpoint, but also just from a societal standpoint. It's really interesting book. Okay, but there was one of the so good for parents, good, but then the parents that say for safety. For if something horrible were to happen.
I don't know what the exact legislation is, but I can't imagine a single teacher saying like, oh, it's an emergency and you can't take out your phone. Like kids have had emergencies like where they spilled stuff on their clothes and I've let them use their phone, which isn't really a dire emergency. So I can't imagine that would be a thing. I am all about
they're just not going to put that in writing.
Correct.
But it's going to be the discretion of the teacher.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
There's an emergency is not going to happen where I'm not going to allow kids to pull out their phone and text or call or whatever they need to do. Absolutely.
Sure. Yeah, I agree. And that is just so sad that we even have to think about that. But that is reality.
You do.
Yeah.
Yes. Which is why I don't agree with not allowing them to bring their phones. Like they need to have their phone in case something happens. But leave it in their backpack so that we can read books instead.
Okay. Then the last thing that is quite controversial in Texas is the voucher system. And as a public school teacher who's also taught private school, and the voucher system isn't going to start this year. It's going to start next year.
Right.
So for the 25-26 school year, what is your take? Professionally, personally, I don't know.
I think public school or private school has value to certain populations of people. And I think it's a great option for people where public school is not a good fit. And so I can appreciate the fact that we're giving families more of an opportunity to make that choice.
To have educational options for their children.
Where I find fault in the system is that the same amount that's being given for vouchers, and I can't remember the dollar amount, but whatever that amount is not the same amount that public school is given for a student per student. So, and I think most public school teachers feel that we're fine with vouchers, whatever, but whatever we're giving as a voucher should be the same amount going to public school.
And I wonder why it's not. It seems like such a no-brainer thing to make it equal. If you're going to shake up the system, then make it equal, set up everybody for success.
Because it's favoring the private school. I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
But, people have spoken out about it. They've said a lot and they're not changing that.
No, they're not. They've made it very clear.
Right.
It is what it is. It got passed pretty quickly for our legislative session. Yes. And it's been on the docket because they only meet every other year. So it's been on the docket before and it finally got passed. So it is the new reality that we will be facing. Now, whether or not it works.
Right.
And apparently it's not just Texas. This is several states are all in the same boat.
Well, and I should say this because it isn't just that the dollar amount should be the same. The requirements for public schools should be the same, or for private schools should be the same as for public schools. So private schools do not have to follow the state mandated TEKS. So private schools can pretty much teach whatever they want, and which is great on one hand. But if we're giving them state money, then that and taxpayer money, it seems to me that it should be a level playing field. So great, you're going to give us the same amount, and then also have the same accountability system. So both populations should be taking the STAR test. I heard, and I never did research to find out, but I also think that homeschool parents can also, get money. And so we have zero accountability over homeschool either. Like anyone can just take their kid out of school and say they're going to homeschool them, and there's no accountability system.
And I've been told that a student that private or homeschool, if they start the year at private or homeschool, then the school is not allocated for that student for that census number. If it isn't going well and they decide to change and enroll, say in November,
yes,
they do not give the money back to the school. The school misses the funding for that student if the family makes a change back to public school.
And that is going to happen. Mm-hmm. And it would happen either way.
Yeah, because moves and changes of life, divorces.
Well, people have this amazing idea of what the opposite is going to be like. You know, I had students who came from public school to private school and then realized, no, this is not for me. And the same thing has happened. We've had kids come from, you know, private school thinking, oh, you know, public school is going to be so great. And they realized it wasn't the best setting. And so that seems terribly unfair.
It is. So maybe in the year since it passed to actual implementation, maybe they will iron some of these things out.
I hope so, because it should have some accountability. You know, even coming from a private school, you know, that always bothered me as a teacher because I was doing a good job because I knew I needed to for myself, but no one is overseeing anything in a private school, and that seems wrong if we're using taxpayer money for that.
Sure. The accountability factor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, is there anything else that we haven't covered that as the sitting person that's representing teachers for this
That's too much pressure. Don't say that.
Is there anything else you would like to say?
No, just that we're excited to have the kids back. Today was my first day on campus, and like teachers are happy and they're smiling and they're excited to greet all those kiddos back. And so we're excited for a good school year.
Oh, and I hope my kiddo does get you.
Me too. I'm going to cross my fingers. Yeah.
It's like a lottery system.
Yeah, you should go pull some strings or something. Can't you do that?
Strings.
Oh, darn it. Okay.
Especially with my oldest. He can be a little turkey.
So maybe strings. You don't want to. That's funny. That's awesome.
He is definitely like breaking a horse.
Oh.
He is so smart and wonderful and amazing, but my goodness,
like very headstrong.
He is very
okay,
headstrong.
but he's going to do brilliant things.
He
so
will.
It's okay.
All three of my kids are so different. I know everybody's but I'm raising amazing 30-year-olds.
Yes, that's great.
If they get there,
good. They will, and then it's so much fun. You know, like you get to be their friend instead of just their parent, and so it's wonderful.
I hope so.
Yes,
well,
you're going to get there.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you.
Thank you.